Okay, updates are done. The recording has begun. Welcome to session 28. I think this is one of the longer ones I've ever done. Alright, we shall begin, as always, with the retelling and the awarding of experience from the previous session. Who would like to go first?
Speaking of backs, so beyond taking excellent investigative photos underwater, I also, went with Miss Mabel to retrieve Araxi from prison, and operated in the official capacity in that way.
Indeed, you were quite critical to her plan to threaten to pull you out of school if they didn't comply. So, yeah, that was excellent.
I think Bax needs a theme song after that involving like punching your way to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, you got a great story for the bards. That your vigor alone is what took you to the bottom of the ocean by gripping a stone so hard that the ocean gave up and let you pass.
That's right.
I'm sure the story will mention your companion, a frog familiar that accompanied you on your journey.
Not a frog familiar, a druid.
A legendary druid. That makes it sound even better.
Yes.
That way you don't have to skip over the part where the druid is the one actually hauling you to the location. Because you had no mobility whatsoever. Very good. A character point for Bax. Good job. Also, don't forget that your other characters were resting, I believe. So they can recover additional tax.
All right, I think I can go next. Or actually, it maybe makes more sense for Viv for you to go next.
I was going to say, speaking of said legendary druid, Wampy went along in the Breakout Araxi plan with the basically as the chaos element and chaos all over the place, allowing Glup to steal the keys to Araxi's cell, which wasn't particularly important in the long run, but it did embarrass the Crimson Guard, and that's what it's all about. Afterwards, Wampy had what I will charity describe as a genius idea to actually go down to the shipwreck and get basically a magical recording of the entire evidentiary area. Wampy, thanks to their connections to the Applied Thaumaturgy Guild, managed to secure a magical artifact for this purpose, and basically led Bax down there in the guise of a frog for the very first time. For the very first time, Wampy is able to properly wild shape, and Wampy is extremely proud of that.
That is awesome. I love that bit of character development. A character point for Wampy, which might be used for the next wild shaping, since if you do it 2 more times, it's yours forever.
Yeah. Speaking of Glup, Glup, with under the orders, Miss Mabel got the keys for her so she could unlock the gate for them, wherever in front of this apparently tight security area. So apparently it's not that tight because kids can just steal keys. And then after that, Glup went on a secret mission to get stuff so he could create framing evidence to frame the people that decide to beat up the poor old his poor old acquaintance, frog person.
Araxi.
Araxi, yeah.
I don't know if it's specious, but I would think that the only 2 Anu in the orphanage would probably know each other pretty well, but who knows?
In real IRL meat is bad with names.
Okay.
I suppose it depends on the socialization of the Anu. Like, what is their culture like when it comes to socializing with each other?
The unfortunate thing here is that they have been separated from their culture. The whole purpose of having Anu children out here is to get them culturally adapted to Celebre so that they can act as a sort of diplomatic relationship between the city and the colonies that Celebre is colonizing, where the Anu there are not being treated particularly well. So this is a strategy on the Anu's part to try to create a bridge between the two societies to reduce the suffering of their people back home.
It's a real frog out of water story.
Yes.
They may not have chosen the best candidate with Iraq.
Maybe not, but they can hardly tell when you're merely a tadpole, right? Like
Right.
they gotta pick some eggs that look smart and hope for the best. All right, well, I believe that's 3, which means we're halfway there. Go ahead and take a character point for Glup. Don't forget that your other characters spent the day resting, so they get to recover extra attacks. That is a total of 4 attacks, 2 for sleeping at night and 2 for having a day of rest. Obviously, that does not apply to the characters that were active, but it does apply to Araxi, which I think is pretty important.
That was what I was going to ask.
Who's next?
So Mari helped get Araxi out of prison, and also found a report, and also knows what a reporter is. She also studied the Celebran governmental style, and she now has a pretty solid understanding of how it works. It's just like a regular government style, except there's only one person that gets to vote.
The tricky thing about that, of course, is that one person who gets to vote really can't divide their time and attention amongst everyone else. So they've sort of unofficially, officially, like it's in the legal documents, they've officially declared that everyone who is participating in the Celebran economy is officially speaking on behalf of the king when they speak and acting on behalf of the king when they act. So all of them have the authority of the king, not as much as the king. If the king says something different, then obviously that's what goes. But it's sort of distributed the kingness across the city in terms of that. But committing crimes is an act against the king, and that authority can be revoked, and that's what the trial process is about. So yeah, you've learned a great deal. You've learned about how the 3 seats function and how their representatives are not... They're not supposed to vote what they think. They're supposed to vote what they think the person who's supposed to be in the seat would vote. Each seat representing one of the interests that the king is supposed to have. An interest in protecting the people, an interest in protecting the economy, and an interest in protecting the nation as a whole.
Yes, her current view is it's kind of like one person gets to decide because everybody basically thinks the same thing. She's not quite aware that that's not exactly how it works, but that's her current understanding.
Cool. Well, she gets a character point, hopefully with which to further her knowledge, and your other characters have a day of rest. 2 more to go.
All right, I'll jump in. So, Zara and Mari at the beginning split up to find the people that we needed to bring to the Crimson Guard barracks. Zara went to get Willica, and Mari off to get a news person. And basically, we needed to, on Miss Maybell's instruction, get them both there around the same time. Luckily, by some matter of luck, we were able to do that. And Zara also did some research on the Sandwich, which was the boat that was sunk. and at the Fisherman's Guild, and uncovered some information about that. The captain, basically, that it seems like the entire crew was replaced except for the captain and the first mate, and some of those folks were mercenaries, and that the ship was kind of government funded, the ship's voyage. So that was just some of the information that she gathered to try and help with Araxi's legal case. And I think that was about it for her.
What's really fucked up is when we find out that it was government funded because they were doing weapons testing, and poor guy, he's just the fall guy.
Lorp.
Poor Lorpin. All right, well, yeah, good job, Kristen. Get a character point, and the research you did is probably going to be critical to the case, and certainly lays the groundwork for potentially more research if you want to.
Wonderful.
Alrighty, and the last one left, that would be Chris Lazar.
So Chris Lazar went along with everybody, or the Crimson Guard heading front, and eventually went off and did research and learned specifically about the tendencies of the person, of the type of person in the seat. I don't really know how to describe this vaguely. But whether that information is useful, he'll be sharing it with everybody, and I can repeat it at any point.
That information will become much more useful when you learn who will be in the seats.
Right. So I have it written down for when we find out who's in the seats. But still, that was his research findings, or his contribution last time.
Excellent. A character point. Make sure to record the additional tax reduction for your other characters who are resting. And we are ready to begin. So,
Sorry, one question before.
Sure.
Did the calligraphy set, I did not notice now, did the calligraphy set that Whoppy bought at the end of last session come with any special properties? I think I asked for, I know infinite refilling, but I think I asked for something that gave me like a bonus to my...
So I gave you two options. I gave you an option for one that would make copies, so you could write something in there, like a copy would be created, a perfect copy. It mimics your movements exactly. Or alternatively, I gave you a version, it's a quill set that you can draw a big shape and a tiny quill draws a tiny shape, which can be very useful for doing detailed artistry or potentially forgeries.
Oh, that one. Yeah. That's the one I took. Okay, thank you. I just forgot to note it down.
That's going to be useful.
Alrighty. So, the trial is going to be in 3 days, which means you've got 2 days that you can either prepare for the trial or do literally anything else you want. You're under no obligations. There are still other adventuring opportunities, including Part 2 of investigating the criminal syndicate, exploring the Undercity, exploring the Northern Forest, investigating Miss Mabel, who was not up to weird things last night. She was taking care of Araxi, but generally has been up to weird things at night. You can take steps to further upgrade the orphanage if you wish, although we're getting close to the end of the campaign, so the benefits of that will become less important over time. And you can go investigate the Pebble Street Gang. There is one additional adventuring opportunity that's been added, which is to investigate the Shadow Man. That's the guy who was a worshiper of the Apthian demon, the Empty Prince, who was caught trying to attack you kids during your arrival. And has been imprisoned here in Celebre ever since. Was imprisoned in Oakbrine for a little bit, and then got transferred after the trial there. You saw them when you went to rescue Araxi and meet Lorpin in the same prison, though not in the same cell. The Shadow Man was there. just as a metagaming thing, when you begin investigating the Shadow Man, that's going to start a series of dominoes that's going to bring the story to a close. So that's probably something that you'll want to wait on until you're satisfied with the accomplishments that you have made. But yeah, for now, with 2 days before the trial, what would everyone like to do as a group? I'm not asking individually. I'd like a consensus on what you'd like to do today. Feel free to discuss.
I'm looking at the options and thinking through. The only one that kind of stands out to me that might be interesting, though I don't know how interesting it'll end up being, is like investigating Miss Maybell, because that might be cool to find out what's going on with her.
Part of me thinks that there's still more on the trial front that we could do to set up. Maybe with different characters specifically chosen for that sort of investigation, because, well, we did a lot of good progress last week. We didn't exactly have our best, most qualified characters out.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see us doing more trial prep.
Yeah. I just realized that that's only available for a couple days, so might be good to do that just to ensure. Like, we don't know if we have enough information to help get Lorpin out. Because ultimately, Araxi's clear, right?
Yes.
It's just about helping Lorpin.
Araxi's clear for this incident.
It's been demonstrated that Araxi was not alive 15 years ago when the incident occurred.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid alibi.
Very nice.
Lorpin,
Yeah,
on
so
the
the
other
trial
hand,
help is for Lorpin, though, then, right?
yeah, Lorpin, on the other hand, was alive, was captaining a vessel that was sailing away at the same time as the Sandwich, and the Sandwich exploded.
Yeah. I'm guessing there's also people that have counted to seeing the fireballs being fired from the Lorpin ship.
Cool, yeah. I vote for trial prep then. That makes sense.
Yeah, also for that.
Yeah, trial prep seems reasonable.
That's... Yep. Yeah. Are there any dissenting opinions? That makes sense. It's the thing that most immediately happened, and kids generally tend to fixate on what's going on around them at the time, so... Alright, let's do it. Which brings us to the next question. Which of the children will be coming out to assist? I'm assuming all of the kids have shared their stories with each other at the dinner table as to exactly what's happening, so everyone's up to speed.
On this front, but not totally on this front, Dave, would you allow me to have Whoppy meditate for a day to train my potentials?
Yes.
Okay.
I was hoping that you would do the Northern Forest thing to meet the druids out there a long time ago, and that hasn't really happened yet.
A
So
lot of other things end up becoming multi-stage
yeah.
adventure.
So yeah, go ahead and I mean that's what druids do anyway, right? You go find a nice park and you meditate.
Druid and solipsisms, I imagine.
Yep.
I don't know what that particular sort of wizard would be called, but
Priests.
fair. Um, but yeah,
Okay.
in that case,
Unlike the previous session, there is no imminent threat here. So yeah, a lot of characters were kind of chosen for you by the situation last time, but this time, you guys are free to bring out your best weapons for what you think you're going to be facing. And there are a lot of different ways to go at this. Research, investigation, a lot of social things you could do to try and interview people. Zara uncovered a lot of stuff the previous day that can lead to all kinds of places.
Yeah, I definitely have an idea. Yeah, I was trying to like debate between Elros and Kyleo.
I will say, from a meta perspective, it's very unlikely that this will result in violence, unless you specifically go looking for trouble. So if there's a particular character that's maybe not doing so hot XP wise that you want to bring out to just get some character points into their belts, this is a pretty good opportunity for that too. But,
yeah, I
yeah.
think I'm going to bring out Nest for that reason.
Yeah, I'm going with Henri. He maybe doesn't have the best skills, but he definitely could use some leveling, and maybe his crime skills will be helpful.
It looks like Glup is going to school today, so having a Thieves Guild representative will probably actually be pretty helpful, depending on how you plan to go about this.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, in case that they might have some information that'd be useful.
Yeah, I was trying to debate because like I don't know because I also want like Glup still needs to find someone to create a forgery for him as well, which he probably can do while he's at the Thieves Guild.
Yeah, so forgeries are an interesting thing. Almost all thievery is about accurate accounting. But there are two branches that interest themselves in forgeries. Unfortunately, one branch is closed to you. The Wolf branch wasn't going to do anything about that. But let me find them. There is the branch that deals with, I think they were the Badgers. The branch that deals with like inventing new locks and stuff. They do have a forgery master.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What about the
Technical writing
calligraphy
stuff.
pen? The calligraphy pen that one of Viv's characters just got. Isn't that?
That would be super helpful for doing a forgery. Yeah.
Walpy would probably only be willing to load it to a fellow triplet.
Hmm.
But also, Walpy's going to be spending this day meditating, so you could probably sneak in and use it.
Yeah, I guess it depends if Glup noticed that Wampy had that.
Is Glup sharing the sample that Glup found? Because that was kind of a solo thing Glup did, so I don't know. Like, are you sharing with the other kids?
Yeah, I'm telling them exactly like especially when I'll tell especially with Araxi and stuff and all the other ones exactly what my plan is.
Oh, Araxi is completely on board with this plan. Araxi is completely unqualified to forge something.
Oh, not forge. I'm telling you that the people that hurt you are gonna get into a lot of trouble.
But they'll only get in trouble if you can learn how to forge their handwriting.
Yeah.
I mean, Araxi would be like, absolutely, and like, just completely on board with this. Like, where do I start? Where do I start? How to?
Just gripping the pen and scrawling. It's like, I am a poopy head. I did the crime. Punish me.
Yeah.
There we go.
Actually, also, was it Glup's mentor is Pinkle? He might be able to know about forgery as well.
Pinkle knows a thing or two. Looks like today you'll be at school though, but if you there are rules for switching dens if you want to go specifically study forgery.
Yeah, I still don't want to lose access to my mentor and stuff because.
Yeah, because Fox dens, if you leave the den, they're not gonna want you to come back. They're like, you abandoned us. So yeah. But yeah, Badger dens, one of the things they specifically study is artistry.
Oh.
Mostly they study it because they are doing engineering and crafting of beautiful works of art locks. But one of their masters over there is an expert at forgeries. He considers it a different type of lockpicking, where you're picking someone's mind to open up information.
Since the Fox Den leader is now one of my mentors, it could possibly potentially to ask for a favor from him about part of my crew got messed up by the Crimson Guard, and I need to get back at them for this.
If Glup is going on the adventure, then yes. But if Glup is going to school, then no.
Okay. I guess I'll do it next session then. Yeah, I'll bring Elros for this one because there's some magic routes that I'm thinking about.
All right, so it looks like we're getting Nest. Mina, nice. That has a lot of potential right there. Let's see. Elros. Kristen, you said you're bringing Henri?
Yep, I'll bring Henri out.
And then Francis and Zara going to school, resting, playing. What are they doing?
Yeah, I'll do school. Well, yeah, Francis is in the animation club, and then Zara will be at SAU.
Let's see. All right, and ooh, Leica's coming out for Jackie. All right. And Shari.
Shari's been underwater for too long with Cinder. She wants to go out and stretch her leg. And also see what all the fuss is about.
Very good. So the six of you are gathered. The other kids are finishing their breakfast and getting ready to head off for school. Go ahead and make your plan.
So I think Henri will go to the Thieves Guild and try and drum up any info he can on the mercenaries or the boat or just like any documentation he can find related to that.
The mercenaries are a good option. So you did get a list of names of the people that were swapped onto that boat, and you found that some of those were in the mercenary records that Reggie had organized when they were looking for people to help with the heist. So, knowing that some of them were just mercenaries, not actual sailors, that's interesting information.
Yeah, my thoughts are that maybe they might have some sort of connection to crime, or I might be able to find some other information on them.
You also have, because Gorm is just storing it here with you kids, because you're the ones who found it, you have the recordings that you took with the crystal ball. So you have a detailed recording of the ship itself, which you can go into sort of the little garden courtyard of the converted mansion that the orphanage is, and sort through that, like try and explore it and look around. You can also take a detailed examination of the corpse of the first mate.
Yeah, I was thinking about if I could borrow that ball, because I wanted to take it to the SAU.
If you take the ball, then they're not going to have access to the recordings that are in it.
Yeah, I just want to wait for until after they're done with it, because I want to see if if I can get someone that with divination magic be able to use it as a focus to be able to see what happened in those.
That's potentially useful, yeah.
Also, since we have access to the first mate, I guess I could ask someone to be able to see if my connections in the school knows someone that may be able to talk to spirits.
Bax has all of the jewelry that was on the first mate in a box. I don't know where they put that box, but they did. They got it.
And while Whoppy may not be so agreeable to letting you have Whoppy's calligraphy set, Whoppy would probably be agreeable to using this, or like having the crystal ball recording used for something like this, because that was the point.
Yeah, Mina definitely wanted to watch the recording to see the boat and what's not right about the boat.
So, the crystal ball projecting the boat out into the courtyard is quite an interesting experience because it's clearly not real. You can see through it, it's translucent, but the detail is pristine. You can see every splinter of wood and examine every sort of detail. It is not of a full functioning boat. It's obviously of the shipwreck that's been underwater for 15 years, but you can see that the wood bent outward, not inward. There are no cannonball holes anywhere, but the section that is destroyed is a pretty big destruction, like a huge kind of explosion. Looks like it tore the ship out from the inside.
Yeah. Do you think we can be able to get access to what the boat looked like prior to it, just so we could cross them over?
The Fishing Guild would have records of that. But there's one other place that might have even better records.
Rights and properties? I don't know.
Boy, it sure is a good thing.
Property.
Boy, it sure is a good thing that Mina's coming along, isn't it?
Yeah, I was reason there. I started the patent on my hands.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to split off at some point. That was always gonna be the plan. So I can't bring anybody with me.
No, but you would almost certainly be able to find the original blueprints that were used to build the ship. Not just a diagram or a layout, but the actual ones that were used during its construction would be on record down there.
Yeah, that was one of my goals.
And
Well,
yes, potentially going to the Thieves Guild is probably good because like they're good at record keeping for all like stuff going in and out of the city, especially dubious stuff. So there might be records and stuff of like what was actually on the ship.
if we wanted to try and use some divination to see if we could get a look at via the crystal ball at what happened before, Nast would be more than qualified to go into SAU and find that person.
Yeah, I also have connections to one of the teachers there. Well, they're one of my mentors.
All right, so it looks like we have a couple sort of groups that are splitting off here.
Shari, I mean, with regards to ships, it's like Shari kind of knows what she's doing. So I can go. I mean, I could probably look at the blueprints, or I could go look at the, or I could go talk to the Fisherman's Guild.
Mina, do you think you could either sneak or convince someone to let Shari into the secret shipyard?
I mean, the thing about shipyards is they have water, and while I'm not very good at stealth, like people don't seem to look underwater.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
absolutely an aquatic entrance to it.
It'd be kind of useless if there was.
Yeah, I think we can. That's one of the few people I would arrange it with. Probably. Yeah, we can work that out. So you'll tag along and or swim along.
Yeah, sounds good.
And will we look at the possessions of the first mate? If like that's the one that got retrieved them.
Bax retrieved the what was left, which was basically just jewelry, a signet ring, some earrings, and an identifying. It was probably a lapel pin that had fallen through into the inside of the skeleton's chest cavity.
Yeah, would Bax be able to like let us use it to help get more information?
I mean, yeah. I can try.
There's two ways you can use that. You can take that with you to the various guilds and see if you can figure out who the captain was by identifying it that way. Or you can take it to SAU along with the recordings to see if they can use that to refine their divination.
I'd say refined divination is my thought.
So who all's going to SAU to do the divination?
Elros, of course.
All right, just Elros?
Oh, Nast as well.
Very good. And then who is going to the Thieves Guild?
Henri.
All right, so I've got Mina, Shari, Elros, Nest, and Henri. That leaves just one more. Jackie, where is Leica going?
I mean, like I have good persuasion and leadership skills, so I'm trying to kind of play them in a more like social stuff. So if that's useful for finding information, I can try that.
Social stuff is very useful for finding information, particularly when you're dealing with guilds.
I'm sure Henri could probably use whatever help he can get, just assistance, like he doesn't really have decent investigation skills. His skills are more crime focused, and he has some talents for investigation that might help. So I'm not sure if Leica might be able to help with the investigations. Or some other scholarship type stuff.
And that's not like his speciality at all. Sorry. I can talk to people, and that's it.
That might, if we go the angle of like persuading people.
With the guild, it's probably a two-step process. First, you got to persuade them to let you see the records, and then you got to figure out what is of use from the records.
Well, they probably have enough people going to SAU.
Yeah, SAU seems to be well stocked. I mean, Elros and Nest both, they're both very familiar with that territory.
Well, my plan was to play Leica this session regardless, so my whole thought is if they're doing the divination, then once we get a more refined search, we can start knocking on doors for people who might know.
Yeah, that could be very useful. Convincing a testimony from somebody might be very, very useful.
Yeah, if you come to SAU with us, like maybe you aren't useful in actually getting the divination magic, but you would be useful in what we do afterwards with it.
Yeah, I'll go for that.
So Leica is going to SAU. Excellent. All right. Let's actually handle Henri first. Because I think your mission is the simplest. You're going to the Thieves Guild to look for tax records for the people who were on board the ship. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Or tax records, or I don't know if any of them were in the Thieves Guild, or just at, like, trying to cross-reference their names to records at the Thieves Guild.
Okay, cool. So you can check two things. You can check membership logs to see if they're there, and you can check the tax records to see what professions they've received payment for that are recorded and taxed. Bear in mind, of course, that the Thieves Guild will only have records for things it knows about. But generally in this city, they know pretty much everything. That's a fairly reliable metric. Obviously, as a member, you don't have to make any rolls to get access to the records. Accessing the records is your job as you're a student. So they honestly think you're just here for class. And they just unlock the doors and let you in. So, this would be either a scholarship or investigation roll, almost certainly using focus. Let me know which records you're checking with each roll.
So, I am considering using a character point to use a skill.
Okay.
So I have Dr. Watson, I presume. I had already spent one character point on it, so I was just trying to kind of get to that 3. And what it says it does is the character is methodical and detailed in their investigation. Spend 1 investigation to narrate how you're taking extra time to perform the investigation. And the GM must reveal any hidden difficulty. So maybe this just actually reveals how difficult the investigation is going to be. And
that's right.
I don't know if it does anything else, but I guess that's all it does.
So if you go ahead and do that, then I have to tell you what your target numbers are before you make the rolls.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
All right. So your target number to find out if they're on the rolls of members of the Thieves Guild is 1 success. unless they happened to be in the wolf den, at which point it is 3 successes to find that out. So that information is kept very secret. Finding their tax records, if you get 1 success, you'll just find out the official stuff that they have on record, like what they've officially done. But with 2 successes, you can find out any under-the-table stuff that the Thieves' Den found out about that was not officially reported.
Okay. So that's very helpful. And you
It's a
mentioned
great
this focus investigation?
Yes.
Cool. I'm seeing if there's anything else I might be able to throw at this. Just a second. Okay, probably not. Unless those wolf records are like behind a locked door, and I can argue that my lockpick helps me there. But yeah.
The way the Wolf Den keeps records is they don't. So what you'd be looking for are holes where records should be. It's a much more challenging kind of investigation.
Got it.
You'd be looking for things like, here's an equipment manifest for outfitting a 5-man team, but when you go look at the report, there's only 4 people listed. And like finding patterns of multiple instances of that kind of thing occurring that seem to outline a shape where a person should be, but isn't. That's Wolf Den. They're hard as shit to investigate.
All right. Roll incoming in just a second.
Don't worry, Tice. You were playing your character, and that makes for an interesting bit of that character's history.
Okay, do I need to roll twice? One for each type of record?
Yes, and you need to tell me which roll it is before you roll it, because they matter. Can't just roll a 3 and then decide you were going after the wolf records.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Okay, well, I will try my luck with the wolf records first.
Okay. No successes, so you find no information about whether or not they are members of the Thieves Guild at all. Maybe they're with the wolves, maybe not. Oh, you do, however, find some information on their employment histories. So, and you find a bunch of them. All of these guys had official registrations, basically, as members of mercenary companies. None of them were particularly high ranked. There's no captains. There's no leadership. These were kind of grunts, but not from one company. They're from all different mercenary companies. And with that second success, as I mentioned, you learn that they have some under-the-table stuff. So these are people who, not just once, but more than once, received some kind of special offer from some kind of government authority that would gather them together to perform covert operations and then disperse them back to their mercenary companies. And you find this by finding that not only were they paid a little extra when those events occurred, but their mercenary company captains were paid a little extra to keep it quiet. Basically, like, we need to borrow one of your soldiers for a hush-hush job. Here's some keep quiet money for both of you. We'll have them back in one piece, I promise, but if we don't, who cares? They're just mercenaries. It's not like they were anyone important. These were expendables.
Got it. And you mentioned they were all from the same mercenary group?
No,
No, different.
none of them were from the same mercenary. Every single one of them was from a different mercenary group. The complete opposite of them being all from the same mercenary group. There's no pair that even came from the same mercenary group. That in and of itself is like wild. Like, somebody took the time to make sure that everyone they hired of an entire ship's crew came from a separate mercenary company, with no two being able to be like, okay, we're both from, Bargain's Rock crew, so we're going to work together and we're going to stay as a team. That none of that at all.
Very interesting. Okay. Is there any information on the operations they were doing or anything like that, or just the details was just vague as far as what the ops were?
That's what you find, but go ahead and make one more test to just see if you happen to come up with any interesting mystery stuff that has nothing to do with either particular question. This is difficulty 3.
I assume it's also the same role, basically.
Same role, difficulty 3, just looking for mysteries. Okay, yeah, this is what you found.
All right, cool. I think it's kind of fitting that I rolled a 0 on the Wolves Den investigation. They're really living up to their elusiveness.
What
They
character
are.
is this?
What was that?
My character?
Yeah, which character again?
Henri.
Who do they play as?
The Moon King. So it's like,
Ah,
I mean, that's hardly useful unless I want to terrify someone.
no. The Moon King knows things that people can't know, but
I guess so.
not in the same way that people know things.
The Moon King did not know things by reading records.
That's, mostly true, yeah.
And
There
the
was
Moon
like
King
one
fundament-
instance. Sorry, what was that?
The Moon King also fundamentally doesn't understand or misunderstands things that normal people just get intuitively, like food and stuff. The
Moon King had to have the difference between a human and a chicken explained to him multiple times. He kept insisting, but they both have 2 legs. They both walk on 2 legs. It's obviously the same creature.
Yeah. Moon King also made a giant trampoline, basically, for his last adventure.
The Moon King made a trampoline out of threads of people's timelines that he hid in slices of cake. And he used it to bounce in the opposite direction of causality. That's the kind of thing that the Moon King does. And if Andre gets involved in that, you're damn sure Andre's getting some pips for having that costume on. Also, probably just generally for intimidation.
Honore might also go completely mad if he gets into that kind of situation. So.
But you get some bonus pips for going completely mad, so,
Totally worth it.
Alrighty, switching to the shipyard. Mina and Shari, how do you plan to sneak Shari down there? I'm not asking because it's impossible, I'm asking so that I'll know what rolls to have you make.
I mean, Shari's happy to swim, but also happy to just walk in the front door and just talk to them until they let her in. That always works. It's worked for her in the past.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to. I mean, the one thing is, as soon as you're at the secret shipyard, the secret's kind of out. So if you're playing the game of like trying to keep it secret, it's kind of over.
So she doesn't want to get you in trouble for revealing that they're. I mean, I assume the existence of the secret shipyard is what's secret about it.
Yeah, in a cavern under the city has been assembling warships that are specifically designed for combat and conflict, and they generally not like their armaments and specifications to be known before fighting actually begins.
Yeah, but I mean, Shari basically is an apprentice for the guild that almost definitely knows that these ships exist.
And almost definitely will be the ones sailing them. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it's difficult for a naval. I mean, even Naval City is rich as Celebre to build a bunch without the guild that builds the ships being aware that there are warships being built. Right? I mean, it's like.
Yeah, so it's not like Mina's the only person in Celebre that knows about them. There are other members of the fishing guild that know about them, which is why they came to Mina to offer her this opportunity to be part of this. But yeah, so yeah, it's the question is, can Shari be trusted to not tell anyone else? And it's not a question for Shari to answer. That's a question for Mina to answer.
I mean, I know the answer to that question, but they don't need to know that I know the answer to that question. I think either way, I'd want to play it as, she is a member of the fishing guild, but also like there's those benefits as well as other benefits to, like, you know, free reign discussing with her, underwater tactics kind of stuff.
There you go.
And that opportunity for them probably is really beneficial, and it'll only like take up some of your time there.
Shari says, "The secret ships. Okay, just I want to see the secret ship, but I won't tell. I promise, I won't tell anybody about any secret ships. I'm really good at keeping secrets."
You could say secret ships as much as you want. Just don't tell them where it is. No one will understand what you're talking about.
All right. So I guess you're going to go to the park then and use the secret entrance behind the statue?
Yes.
Shari seems super excited about this. She's like, it's got a secret entrance and everything. I won't tell anybody about the secret entrance.
I feel like I should blindfold Shari.
There was a secret entrance that my sister had to her little treehouse, and it was in the back, and I wasn't supposed to tell anybody about that. And to this day, I've not told anyone where that is. I guess except just now.
And all the other times too.
So about halfway down the spiral stairs, from the secret entrance behind the statue, you are confronted by one of the security guards. It says, "Mari, who's this?"
I'll say this is an associate, or what are they called? An apprentice of the fishing guild, here to discuss, give opportunity for people to learn about, like underwater activities. And I'll point out her. You have gills, don't you?
I do.
The guard kind of sneers her eyes and like, "I did not get any word that there would be additional staff here today. We're gonna have to consult with the I forgot her name. The head of the docks."
Shari says, maybe you didn't get any word because it's a secret, and she winks at him.
He kind of shrugs. Yeah, that's possible. However, any such secret would be known by my boss. And so he takes you guys down where you meet with the head engineer that's been training you. And, So, you have not gotten into the shipyard. You're still in the cavern sort of network underneath. You're in essentially what is a security holding office, somewhere where they would hold intruders before taking them to their ultimate fate, which in the interests of national security is often simply execution and dump the body in the ocean. And so, here you are. It's kind of like an underground police station, a little bit. So the chief engineer says, Mari, good to see you again. Here for another day of work. And then she sees Shari and I was like, oh. I'm sorry, not Mari, Mina. Mina. And she sees Shari and says, oh, what do we have here?
Shari says, I'm Shari from the Fishing Guild. I'm a sailor, she said.
Chief engineer, nice to meet you. She leans down, shakes your hand, takes a seat. Mina, could you explain to me why you have brought Shari here to see me?
Yeah, I mean, I'll run through the same thing and say, like, I've been researching boats a lot, and I know this. I'm well acquainted with Shari from our orphanage and moving around, and she's already on occasions had me thinking differently about these boats, and I wanted to bring her in to lend her insight, because she just spent days underwater, and to enlighten our perspectives in that way.
This is, So, you're saying she is essential to your current design project?
Yes.
Go ahead and make a persuasion roll.
Oh man, I'm gonna fail that hard. Yeah, I was gonna fail that.
All right. She says, Mina, I know you mean well. Of course I know who Shari is. We did all kinds of background research on you. Shari is an excellent and competent sailor, but Shari is not an engineer. If you want to impress your friends, impress them with things you do in the daylight world. But everything down here needs to be a secret.
Sure. Shari shrugs and says, but I know about all of it now, so I might as well just be here.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Sound logic.
I'm going to miserably fail this as well.
Holy crap!
I did not miserably fail.
You did not miserably fail that. Says, that's true.
She says, also, I'm not an engineer. I'm a sailor. You have a lot of engineers down here, but you don't have a lot of sailors.
Says, and
engineers don't pilot these ships.
That's a good point. More to the point, it means that you wouldn't know what you were looking at anyway, so you'd have no way of reporting it to anyone you tried to tell. So, alright. What is it that the two of you are really here for?
Sherry says, I'm here to see the warships. I've never seen warships except elven warships, and the elven warships are very different than these ships.
You get a little eyebrow raise on that. So you've seen some elven warships, have you?
Just yeah. These ships are very different, like the fishing ships that I've seen anyway. Elven fishing ships are similar. The warships are different. They're sleek, low to the water, so they can't get hit by cannons very easily. They've got cowled rudders, can't get cut. They use water wheels. I've not seen any of those around here.
All right. Well, with your 2 successes, she'll let you go in and see. She'll let you see Mina's current project. Mina, go ahead and describe the ship that you've been working on.
I mean, I have my the ship I've been working on, or the other ship.
No. The when you come down here, it's not just to learn. You've been working on a warship, your very own design. Go ahead and describe what state it's in, and sort of how it looks.
How many times have I been here? This can't be that far along.
You've been here 4 times.
It's just a bunch of wood floating in the water. There's not even a ship to it.
It probably wouldn't actually be in the water yet. It would probably be dry docked, like skeletal frame.
Yeah, the kind of setup, the whatever. I don't know what those things are called.
I don't know what they're called either, but it's basically you've got these like beams that are hold it up, and then once you've got enough of the frame built, you can lower hooks in to raise it up to do work underneath. It's really lightweight when you haven't actually put the decks in yet.
Yeah. I imagine I wouldn't actually be building something that large. It's not meant to be a ton of people ship, low man crew. So it would be easily manned, and so the setup for it is actually a lot smaller. So it's probably further along than most other ships in that regard. But it's still, that's not. I don't think she's learned enough to put a lot to the design yet.
Well, figure that she's probably somewhere between 40 to 50 hours worth of work into it. And not working alone either. You've got a crew. You're the engineering prodigy. But there are some basic laborers that have clearance because of family connections that are just down here to carry stuff for you and help you hammer in the nails. I'm going to go ahead and rule that it's not seaworthy yet, but you still get to describe what your design principle is. Bearing in mind, from a meta perspective, whatever it is you describe will almost certainly at some point be engaged in combat in some future adventure.
Yeah, I think the main thing is from her original perspective, her original thoughts didn't leave her when she came to the shipyard, so it's gonna have more guns than necessary. like more cannons. There's not she's designing it so that there's not a blind side. It doesn't fire from the sides. It doesn't fire it doesn't only fire from the sides. So she's working on making sure that it has 360-degree.
Are the cannons on
coverage.
swivels?
Yeah, that's one of the things she's working on.
So some of your training with the miller and all the gear works that the mill had are coming into play here.
Yeah, she's doing mechanisms, and then her so she's figuring out that's why that I say the ship isn't like fully designed, because like they're figuring out where the exit points are, and they're, instead of having like a circular hole for a cannon, it's a like slice, or it's a rectangle for it to move. And then she's leaving enough space in the cannon firing room to put in like the timing mechanism stuff.
Are you using the windmill portions of your training with the miller to power the mechanisms?
Was the windmill powering the beats, or the? Is that what you mean?
So the miller had a system where it was both a water mill and a windmill at the same time, and he was trying to figure out how to make the magic beads fit into it. Is this powered by the magic beads? Because that would be new. That would be very new for Celebre.
I think she should be bringing that in. I think this is the run-in where Shari was mentioning the water wheel, and she would Mina's going to have this spark that's like, why didn't I integrate that? And trying to figure out how to put the water wheel in the base of the boat, or to the side of the boat, however it would work.
So what's innovative about this boat then is that it has no sails and therefore no mast, and therefore nothing for an enemy ship to knock down, and also nothing to get in the way of your swiveling cannons. Full 360, all your cannons can fire in every direction, potentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could be a game changer. Of course, it's got to be powered by the magic beads, so your propulsion system's definitely going to need some work. But, all right, I like this. This is a great design.
It's gonna be manned by Crimson Guard or whatever. Just have a constant source of it. Well, there was a special faction of Crimson Guard, right, that did that?
The Applied Thaumaturgy Guild makes the beads.
I just meant the Crimson Guard that like applied it.
They've started having the new recruits train with the shields that use it.
Gotcha. So that was very specific to that.
Yep. All right. Well, the tour is concluded. Their chief engineer says, I'm happy to see you. You can either stay and work on your ship, or if you want, but I do think I need to get Shari back to her classes with the Fishing Guild.
Shari says, "It's cool. That's a cool ship. I'm happy to help. I mean, if you need my help or assistance, or if you're interested in piloting or tactics, I can help with that. Thank you for showing me the ship things, though. I really do like this stuff. I grew up around Corlanthi warships, so I know a lot about those."
Perhaps you could describe some of them to us. I'm sure that our engineers here would be very interested in learning about them.
Sure.
All right, so she takes you over to like a room where there's basically a chalkboard for you to draw shapes on, and starts asking you questions about them.
Yep. So I explain stuff. I explain how they usually have Anu or Sea Elf crews, and then for Western ships, a pretty solid strategy is you just have somebody swim over and cut the ropes basically on the rudder, and then the ship is basically useless.
She smiles, says, Yes. Yes. We thought of that too. Obviously, I can't tell you about what our version of that is, but yeah, good to know. All right, are you guys done here?
Have we learned what we need to learn?
No, you guys haven't asked anything about the ship that you came to find the blueprints on.
I'm so I guess I'm just gonna ask about it. What do we know? What do we know about it? We know it's. We know it's like we know it's called the sandwich, but
Colloquially, but that is not its official name.
we found out all the names though, right?
It only has one official name.
That's what I mean. But I thought we knew the official name. Like we went through the whole thing, but we knew the official name. That's the name I want.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would know it.
You were told it. I've said its name multiple times. Does anyone here remember?
Salty pig? Salty swine?
There it is.
Salty swine.
The salty swine.
So I'll ask about it. I'll ask. I wanted to go through some old blueprints of the ships, like of different ships designed. For records, there's one we discussed recently, and I'll mention it just flat out.
Says, oh yeah, rumors have been going around the docks that they finally found the bastard that sunk her. Justice runs slow, but it runs deep like an ocean current.
Yeah, I heard about it, and I want to know why it went down so easily. And I was wondering if we had the designs that I could see it and I could avoid any of its faults.
Yeah, designs are absolutely on file here, and takes you to the record rooms, pulls its original blueprints. Says now this was not a ship built for war. This was a freighter. So a lot of its design principles are not going to be useful for your current project. But when it comes to carrying capacity, this ship could haul. Had some issues with rivers because it floated pretty deep in the water. But look at the carrying capacity. Starts showing you the blueprints. Like, I mean, you could carry anything in this. So you could probably stuff a dragon in the hold and no one on top would know. Like, that's storage capacity right there.
And it was made for moving food?
That was its main task, yeah. I don't know what the original design necessarily specifically was for food. I mean, it was meant for hauling whatever the merchant might need to haul, but it came to be famous for its food deliveries, yes. That's why we all called it the sandwich, because you always knew when you saw that pig in the harbor, food was on the way. Guess you kids are probably a bit young to have been out to the colonies. The local food there is a bit, it's insects. They mostly eat insects. You're there for a week, you learn just how far you're willing to go for a good ham sandwich. So, looking at the blueprints, is there anything you want to investigate? This is, by the way, a non-critical blueprint because it's for a shipping vessel that has nothing to do with your work here, so you could borrow it if you wanted to. You just have to promise to return it, that's all.
I was about to see if I needed to copy it, but I'll ask to borrow it.
Yeah, not a problem. Make sure you bring it back safe, of course.
Of course.
With the original resting at the bottom of the harbor, this is all that we really have left of her. Alright, you've got the blueprint. Yeah.
All right, that was relatively successful.
It was. Alrighty. Time for the university crew. We've got 3 of you there. Elros, Nest, Leica. Are all 3 of you students at SAU?
I think so.
Excellent.
Oh, no trench coat?
We can still do the trench coat.
I might be considering switching over to having a Faith and Knock mentor, but as of now, I am a magic student.
You still have your student ID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can still do... That still wears the trench coat just for consistency's sake.
Which makes sense. That way they'll never know when it's not you under the trench coat, right? Alright, so you go proceed into the university, and where are you headed?
I'm going to first check in with my favorite teacher, Cam.
Cam greets you, compliments you on your stylish bracelets.
Thanks. We are currently trying to find more information to help our friend Lorpin because we feel like he's been framed for something. So we need to help out.
So, well, yeah, I mean, I only met him, I think, once or twice, but seemed like a good feller. Libraries here, of course. I'm not sure what you'll find about an individual person in a library like ours.
I'm sorry. I was something came over. We have a map of the sandwich, or also known as salty swine, on this crystal ball over here, as well as some jewelry of the first mate. And we're trying to either find someone that can speak ghosts. Also, we're going to probably go to the divination room to find out more information with using these items. Just saying, I just wanted to come check out, see how you're doing. Also, I just was saying if you knew any connections that might know anyone that can talk to spirits.
Well, yeah, I mean, the necromancy department definitely has professors that have that kind of knowledge. We generally don't teach that to students as young as you, but that is a thing you can learn if you're really dedicated. As far as divination goes, though, the last time you guys got involved with divination, one of you burst into flames, and we kind of want to avoid that.
I will not be a part of this divination part. I will just be there to provide the information. It was me that got caught on fire.
Fantastic. I'm still going to ask you to carry this bucket of water with you, just in case. And he hands you a bucket of water.
Okay.
If you start feeling a little steamy, just dunk it on your head. Just a precaution.
No more flaming children on this guy's watch.
We definitely do not want any children spontaneously combusting anymore.
Okay, so where do we want to go first? The necromancy section or the divination section?
Ness looks at you and goes, "This orb is really heavy. Divination."
All right.
All right. So you find it's the same professor of divination who's just terribly embarrassed that a child burst into flames last time you were in his classroom. It's actually the dean of divination.
I think we have 2 of the 3 people who were there for that.
Yep.
Hello, Dean again. We got another divination for you.
Oh,
This
please,
one more.
please no. I can't have any more burning children. Not again.
If it helps, it's under the water.
This is going to be drowning children.
That's not better. Children coming to harm on my watch is bad. I mean, children coming to harm at all is bad. But, like, when they blame me for it, no. Not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm sure you have a wonderful crystal ball, but I will not be a part of this.
Ness will just display the crystal ball on, like, the wall. Like, the projection.
Yeah, and I guess I'll explain to him exactly what happened with the whole setting on fire thing, because, like, the idea of the moon was that set me on fire, not, like, hit anything to do with him.
All right, go ahead and make persuasion rolls. See if you can talk him down from his paranoia. Actually, not really paranoia. It's completely justified. You really did burst into flames. Persuasion plus empathy, I think, would be the most appropriate roll that you could make.
All right, I'm the most empathetic person here.
Ness does have a tad bit of persuasion.
It's my time to shine.
Ness is basically ignoring his, like, declining help and just starting to display it, just starting to explain what they need. Like, so we have some recording. Also, Ness just rolled 3 threes.
All right, that's some strong persuasion. Let's Leica, what's your little speech here to get this guy to do your bidding?
Recently, I've been studying some psychic magics, and I think there was really just a little bit of a crossfire that happened that has nothing to do with divination. It's probably just an unaccounted for anomaly that just, you couldn't have anticipated it.
All right, let's let those dice hit the table. See what the total comes out to.
Telling you
Holy crap!
Telling a divination teacher they couldn't have anticipated is like the biggest insult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's a completely different kind of magic, that they weren't expecting, because I'm pretty confident that's some psychic shit that happened with them, right? Like,
yeah, that was actually divine magic.
Oh, really? Okay, in that case, it's definitely under his purview. I'm lining out with my asshole, and I'm hoping it helps him feel better.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm a divination teacher. Like,
Yeah, like I haven't actually been able to use my last, origin thing, because my last thing is I got myself moon touched as my last origin thing.
This is okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to bring in a TA to scan the future and warn me if it looks like any of you are about to get hurt. You were saying there's something underwater.
Yes,
as you see displayed on the wall here. I imagine there's basically a projector type system in there.
Yeah, I mean, these guys deal with these kinds of crystal ball displays all the time. It's just a normal part of their daily works. And to him, this, what would otherwise be a wondrous artifact to most people, is essentially like a stapler.
Yeah. So technically there is fire involved, but that was prior to it going under the water.
So what we have here, I'm sure everybody here knows about the sandwich, right?
The what?
Oh, the sandwich. It's I guess it's more at the ports. It's a ship that exploded 15 years ago.
Says, I mean, I'm a divination teacher. I don't really get out much.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, it's a ship that exploded 15 years ago, and we...
He takes some notes, actually, on the chalkboard. He's like, all right, 15 years in the past. From today, exactly?
Not exactly. Do I have an actual date?
You might.
Nest is Celebrin.
Nest is Celebrin, and there were records at the courthouse about it. Go ahead and give me a sort of retroactive investigation plus cunning.
Not necessary. Can I argue this as scholarship?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, yeah. You know the exact date.
I give the exact date.
Very good. All right, so he notes that on the sort of chalkboard. He's like, all right.
So what we need. So they arrested a guy recently for. Ness is not going to let all that. They know Lorpin, but they arrested a guy recently for this, and some things just don't add up. Like they say that he fired on the ship with cannons, but I know this isn't necessarily your expertise. But that's an explosion. That's not what a cannonball does. As like, I sort of pan the thing over the ship, and so we kind of want to be able to go into the memory of this and like truly see what happened before it ended up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and do that then. He sort of squints and is like, it's like, I don't know much about like cannons, but I can tell you I have seen blasts like that before.
We also, I guess I'll pull out the jewelry as well. We have some items that were definitely there at the time.
Oh, good. So
this
so
was recovered.
We don't have to go underwater to go to the ship then.
I mean, so this would probably be from just one person, because we had it underwater. We recorded this, and they took this off of one of the bodies down there as evidence, and this could also help.
So for a moment, he kind of snaps into like professor lecturing mode, and explains how in the course of divination, it is of course important when trying to do an object reading to find out the past of something that you have the object with you to do the past reading. Recordings of the object are not effective. So a crystal ball can make a very nice recording of a scene, but you would actually have to go to the place or have an object from the place in order to view what happened in the past. The recording in the crystal ball isn't enough. Having brought this gentleman's belongings, we should be able to actually trace this to their moment of death and probably record it into your crystal ball right here.
Oh, that would be lovely.
We're doing like I forget what that game that I saw recently. There's something of the Oberdine.
Return of the Oberdine, yeah.
That's an excellent game, by the way. Highly recommend it. All right, he says, everybody back up. I see you have a bucket of water with you. Excellent. Just, be ready to dunk your head in that if you start feeling like you're on fire. And let's see what the past reveals. So he sort of is magicking the rings and is feeding the magic into your crystal ball, which is creating sort of a new image. And for the most part, the image is these rings on a skeleton in the bottom of the ocean. But you notice some details. All the fish are swimming backwards, and they're swimming backwards very fast, and faster and faster and faster. It creates a kind of a strobe effect with the sun rising and setting multiple times, which eventually blurs, and then suddenly it's not there. And he goes, "Oh, went past it. Sorry, rolling back." He rolls it back, and it's a little too fast again. There's like a blast of light, and he freezes it, and he goes, "Here we go." It's like, I knew I recognized that kind of blast pattern. That's a fireball. So we see these at the university all the time. And what you are
Can
seeing...
we get you on record saying that?
Says, sure. I mean, yeah.
As an expert witness?
Absolutely. I am an expert. He beams at the title.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are an expert at catching
You're
things on
awesome.
fire.
So is that yeah, that is a fireball right there. He's now projecting it through the crystal ball. He's like, that's very clearly a fireball. Like, if we rewind a little bit here, we'll just slowly see it came out of this wand right here. And you see a wand kind of like laying on a desk with something wrapped around it. He's like, huh, that's kind of weird. It's like somebody rigged it to go off.
That's ooh.
Definitely exonerates Lorpin because, like, he didn't fire it. Also, the crew didn't fire it. Because under the law, if the crew did something, he's also liable. But in this case, you could argue that neither the crew nor Lorpin set off this wand. And therefore, ipso facto, he cannot be held accountable for the explosion.
It's like, yeah, it's like, I wonder, like, why somebody would set... I guess if they wanted to get out of there, they didn't want to be there when it went off. It looks along, it's like, that is a funny-looking fire mechanism. Oh! And he sort of looks, he's like, oh, it's the guy's finger! I see how he did that! He cut off the guy's finger, and he just tied it to the wand. Very clever. That's a very clever way of doing with that. Obviously, this was done by a non-wizard. And as he sort of rewinds to shrink the fireball away from the wand, you get a nice clear look at the room, which is covered with magical weaponry. Dangerous stuff. Glowing swords, glowing armors, and series of staves and wands. This is... Ow, wow. Wow, ooh. He's like, Thump is just like, whew, that's a lot of magic in one place. Looking around the room, though, because the room is projecting the entirety of the inner holding of the ship, there is a corpse lying on the floor. So it looks like the first mate was not killed by the explosion. And the corpse is missing a finger. So the first mate was killed and his finger tied to the wand to trigger it.
Incredible.
Yeah, you're such a great help here. Yes, just to know you're going to be part of a giant governmental conspiracy thing now.
Oh dear. I suppose that means I won't be able to leave the university, which will change my life in no way whatsoever.
What? Well, you.
This is where you talk about, like, the logistics of applying law to people who can just be like, nah, I don't feel like being restrained.
There's something I would like to do. It has nothing to do with the current investigation, but after when the thing is or while we're underwater, I want to create the illusion of myself being enveloped in a bubble of water and starting to drown in front of the dean.
Okay.
I'm improvising this.
You can go ahead and make your roll. See if you're able to improvise that. Meanwhile, the dean is kind of just marveling at all of the magical artifacts that are in there. It's like, these are artifacts of intense violence. Not a single one of these has a peaceful use.
Yeah.
And what was this doing on a goods freighter?
And looking around the freighter, you really don't... it's not like they were even trying to, hide them inside apple barrels. There's just no goods here. There's just tools of violence.
Just weapons of war.
This.
And from what you know from your research, a crew full of mercenaries who are known for doing covert missions. He turns around and panics for a moment, and his control over the illusion slips, and it continues going in reverse. And you see, walking as he's freaking out about the illusion of the drowning student. The rest of you see an Anu walking backwards into the room from the stairs that lead out onto the upper deck.
Is this Anu Lorpin?
It looks like a young Lorpin. And they walk backwards into the room. They pick up the wand. They appear to untie the finger from it. They walk back over, again walking backwards because it's in reverse. They go over to the corpse. They
Put the finger on.
put the finger on using a knife to reverse cut it. And then you see them slip into a position of hiding. Their skin changes form, so they look like a piece of the deck. You see the first mate basically like get up as they're pulling their weapon out of the first mate, and then they go and duck under a table, and then the first mate walks backwards up the stairs, and then after a few minutes, Lorpin backs out from under the table, looks around with a horrified expression at the weapons of destruction in front of them, and then very quickly and stealthily backward goes up the stairs as well. The teacher hasn't seen any of this and is dealing with the illusion and eventually dispels the illusion. By the time they are done dispelling the illusion, it's an empty room with just the weapons, no corpse, no Lorpin.
Is it recorded into the crystal ball?
It is.
Uh-oh.
Which Gorham is going to ask you to return to him. He left it with you kids because he trusted you more than himself with magic-y things. But he does... You told him that he would be able to use that to present evidence in Lorpin's defense.
We definitely cannot use this in Lorpin's defense.
That's Lorpin's defense attorney, right?
And the former sheriff of Oakbrine, yes.
Mm.
So the ship was going back to the islands where we colonized.
Those were the trips that it was expected to make. It was expected to do regular deliveries back and forth.
Oh my God, they were trying to attempt genocide.
So Ness is like staring like in stunned silence there, because Ness definitely is old enough to figure this out.
Yeah, so is like a...
Yeah, I think. Wait, we are the two old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine like we've like met eyes,
Yeah.
and then Ness.
We're both like, oh fuck.
And then Ness like
Thank
motions
very
you
much.
like to the corner of the room while I imagine the Dean is like telling off for the illusion, because I assume the Dean is smart enough to figure out that was an illusion.
Yeah.
Distracted, like nudges you over to the room and says, So I know it looks bad. We also have blackmail against the city. It kind of leaves that open.
Well, that's... Do people even care? Not to be harsh about it.
Were
but
you?
This
Hang
is
on.
by
Like-
the quarter of the crown. Has to be like... Nobody gets ordinance like that unless it's okayed by the state. Who do you think is gonna...
But that's not. Again, it may have been okayed by the state.
Sidebar, we don't live in a democracy.
True.
Like, there's
The
no
point,
checks
the
and
point
balances.
is, this has been kept under wraps for a reason. This is interpreted as a attack on food. They might not be so interested to hear what the sandwich was actually shipping. The public information in a public courtroom, a matter of public record.
It's your call. I
Well, we
We're gonna
can't
have to do
exonerate
some-
him now. He did the
certainly
thing.
not. He definitely did blow up a sandwich, and that's for sure. I can't fault him for his reasons, though.
Was
They're
Leica
totally just.
quick question? Leica was the one who was there when Araxi tore up the docks because of some it.
Oh yeah, I've got a 1 out of 3 for social agitator for that.
It's also just generally unclear, like, how they got that ordinance at all. Sleeper didn't have a king at that point.
This was only 15 years ago, so this would be after Violithan was on the
Oh,
throne.
okay. All right, so it's
yeah.
15 years.
Violithan took the throne, what, like about 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's about
right before the demon attack on Garrison.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he would have been on the throne.
Yeah, so Violithan was on the throne at this point.
It's not entirely clear that he ordered it, though.
No, it's not, because the government does have layers of bureaucracy. Violithan is one person not capable of overseeing an entire government by himself. So, who knows? Did he order it? Did one of his underlings order it? You don't know how far up it goes. You could try and take it all the way to the top. But if this information gets out, Lorpin's case is ruined primarily because, as far as you can tell, Lorpin did it. Lorpin is not innocent. You might want to talk to Lorpin to find out why he did it, but you'll have to make sure you do so in such a situation that the Crimson Guard will not be able to record the conversation and use it against him.
Yes. And thinking about it, it's not that funny that I pretended to drown.
It's not what?
Oh no, I was trying to go back in the thing. I don't I was talking to the teacher. I'm keeping distraction.
So now that you have this information, do you want to go meet up with the rest of your crew?
Yeah. Do we want to still talk to the necromancer or?
So there is some interesting information I think we can get from the necromancer, if the necromancer was able to, conjure that memory.
The necromancer would not be conjuring a memory. They would be conjuring the ghost of the first mate.
Yeah.
And that ghost is only going to be as cooperative as it wants to be.
Yeah. There is some interesting information. Like, we could find out the truth of it.
The reason why they're having all those armaments on there.
So I think it is worth a try. But
Yeah, the first mate is the first mate and the captain were the only ones that weren't mercenaries, so they might have more information than the mercenaries.
There's a reason Lorpin used the first mate's finger. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And there's a reason that finger worked.
Yeah. So yeah. I think this is our best chance to get an immediate answer for who ordered this.
Yeah.
Since it's taken you about as long as it's taken everyone else to get this far, do you want to gather your friends and all go to the necromancers together?
Sure.
All right. So everybody meets up. You get to share the documents and things that you've learned. Are you going to share the contents of the recording with anyone other than the two of you that saw it?
Leica, are you okay with a no on this?
If the little kids don't have to see Lorpin cutting fingers off, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both Nest...
And the complex political conversation is not something I feel equipped to do.
I feel like, at least in Nest's case, Nest does not want to traumatize the smaller children.
Yeah.
And also, doesn't necessarily want them to know that Lorpin is definitely guilty yet.
It's not even about what he's guilty of. It's that he's guilty in an effort of, very concerted genocide effort. Like,
Yeah.
probably, like, it's really likely that this ordinance was headed towards the colonies with a malevolent intent. Like, there's just no other way to read the situation. And that's pretty dark and heavy.
So we're not going to.
We'll maybe give a truncated, simple, easy to understand version of what we saw.
We let them know that we have some evidence that points to a new theory and that we need to talk to the first mate's ghost about some things.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what you guys hear.
Yeah, my distraction worked somehow. It was totally a distraction this whole time.
Genuinely, it accidentally revealed like the most important thing we could have revealed at that moment.
All right. The six of you, you make use of the trench coat for its designed purpose. Get all six in, and head to the necromancy department, which is a very small department because they don't really teach this to kids. The dean of necromancy is, giving sort of a mild lecture on the proper like ointments to use on your hands after you've used chilled touch too many times and your skin starts to get weird from it. It's a great spell, but, overusing it's not a great idea. Oh, you kids lost?
No, we're in the right place.
Looks at his lecture schedule and says, didn't think I had anyone coming to this lesson today.
We've come to talk about talking to the deceased. It is involved in a court case, and we need to speak to the individual.
Nest wants to add on to that and say, because terrible fucking plan I have, but Nest says it's a court case that's deeply personal to me.
You see he kind of tears up a little bit because at the very onset of this conversation, a group of what he knows to be orphans are asking to speak with the dead, and he immediately assumes you're going to try and speak with your parents.
He is correct, but not entirely.
The part about a court case kind of goes over his head a little bit as you go into it being deeply personal. He says, I understand. These things can be deeply personal. I want you to know not to expect anything. These spells don't always work the way we plan. We're not dealing with just the laws of physics here. We're dealing with ghosts and emotions, and it's a very complicated topic that I am very much not educated or equipped to explain to children. So, who is it that you'd like to speak to?
I guess we'll present the jury. We want to speak to the first captain the first mate of the Salty Swine.
And Ness is going to add in a man that may have been my father.
Incredible. You are an orphan, so.
I mean, you don't really need to roll for this because he's got zero reason to believe it, and being scholastic type, he doesn't know what the Salty Swine is or any of its history. So, yeah, it's like, okay, we'll try this just once. Again, this man may be your father, but the ghostly world can confuse people. So don't be surprised if this doesn't end up being quite what you wanted it to be.
No, Nest is going to ramble on a little sob story about how her father died before she was born. and never got to meet her or even know of her.
He kind of cringes, like expecting, like, deadbeat dad's ghost. This is not going to go well. All right. And so the.
I mean, if he's lost at sea, that's even more tragic, right? An orphan, father's lost at sea.
He's like getting the Kleenex ready for all the tears.
He had one fling on shore, and that's just the result. But he never got to come back and meet Nest. That's kind of what I'm leading into.
And he's just trying to like brace you for the idea that like this guy probably wasn't interested in having children, and so is probably not going to give you a warm, loving embrace. And
Now, but Nest is also going to say we think he was killed or murdered on the ship, and the court case we believe they've arrested his killer, and I just want to talk to him and let him know and ask some questions.
says, "All right, we'll give this a try." In situations like this, I find it better to use spells where I'm not forcing the ghost to do anything against its will. There are spells that can do that, but I think that in this case that would be a little bit cruel. So I'm just going to use a spell that will let you commune with the dead. The dead is not required to answer your questions, but it'll be pretty safe. They also won't be able to physically interact with you. It'll just be a sort of vapor in the air that you can speak to.
It's going to be so great because she's going to be like, Dad, and he's going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Papa!
So the spell is cast, and ghostly mists form into an apparition of First Mate Andy.
That's like kind of like looks at him. This is not actually particularly good at this, but it's the only idea that I came up with that I think Nest would do. It kind of goes and like tells him like, "Hello. I don't know what to call you.
You a member of my crew?" Voice sort of
Of a
echoes
sort.
a little bit.
Of a sort.
Then you call me First Mate. Or you call me Sir.
All right, sir. So I need to ask you questions around. So okay. Sorry. That's just trying to pull a little like uncertain child here. You don't know me because you didn't live to see me, but I'm your kid.
Raises an eyebrow, says, "Don't look like me."
That
Take after my mom.
yeah, take after my mother. Yeah.
Which one was she?
You're like, Jessica.
I
She
never.
died when I was born, too.
Yeah.
Both
That's
dead.
like
I'm an orphan.
That's like tries to well up a tear and goes like, I never really got to know her. She.
Go ahead and make
Yeah.
So make a propriety check to see if you can like force him to reveal that information for you.
Phew. This is definitely empathy, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
The idea here is that by creating a strategic pause in the conversation, he'll be required to fill it, and that in the information he tries to fill it with will be information you can use.
Oh, okay. Give sorry. Give me just one moment. Um, because this I think is a great time to reveal spinal lineage.
Ooh, all right.
Uh, which is Nest has taken gifted and is going to take an eccentricity as well for this. Um, but this is what we call what I'm going to call gifted and emotional appeal. We can work on how we want to do this, but essentially, Nest understands people, and Nest can sort of just innately understand how people are thinking, how people are feeling, what they're looking for, um, and just appeal to that in a moment with less than performance and just in an understanding sort of way.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know how you want me. Emotional appeal feels like the best way to describe it.
That sounds all right. Yeah, I like that.
And it's I am going to take an eccentricity with that.
So you get extra pips. I did promise that on your
Yeah.
reveal, I would make it extra powerful. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to call this an automatic success on this roll.
Yeah.
But going forward now, you have those extra pips. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, in your sobbing, he kind of gets sort of a little emotional. He goes, "Was it that whore Doreen? Damn it! I told that woman to use that money to buy her potions."
That's nods. It says, but it's not that I want to talk to you about. It's I've turned out okay, but I've always had an interest in the manner of your death and what happened at the end. And it's recently come back into the news here in Celebrate, and I want to ask you some questions.
Well, I ain't supposed to talk much about what we were doing. Mission is need to know only, but I can tell you this. Some bastard traitor stabbed me in the back. Never even got to see him.
Well, the reason it's in news has a lot to do with what you were doing. And as your kid, people like to um, be prepared if, say, everything came to light. Because right now, it feels like everything's unraveling, and I want to know ahead of time what happened.
The ghost, because of your success there, the ghost leans down, says, "Now, even in death, I ain't no rat. I'm told need to know, it's need to know. So I ain't gonna tell you the truth of it, but I will tell you this. You don't owe nobody nothing. They come after you for something I've done, you just run. You run as far and as fast, and you sail those seas, and you do whatever you want to do, because you are the child of Anthony. And I ain't gonna have no child of mine wrapped up in no nonsense. You hear me? I got your back." He goes to pat you on the back, and it goes straight through you, and it feels horrible. Sorry about that. Didn't know it did that.
That's okay. That's okay. I feel like Ness takes like a composure damage for that, but
yeah, probably.
yeah. Whoa. That's fine. That's fine. Um. You're no rat, but I'm no rat either, and
I can see where you're going with that line. I may not have the greatest of speaking, but I know the minds of those. That's why I was first mate.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. You don't need to know what we were doing. It's best if no one ever knows what we were doing. You just go on and live your life. And if they come after you for what I did, you tell them that Anthony's gonna stab them in the eye as soon as they get to the afterlife.
It's public knowledge about the weapons.
He sort of shrugs. So.
And should I run? Is that what you want me to do? Do you want me to run? Because I love Salima, I want to be here, but it's different here now, and I want to protect your legacy.
Now listen to me. My legacy wasn't in this city. My legacy was on the waves. My legacy was loyalty to my captain, loyalty to my crew. That's what my legacy was. A city's just a city. You can find a bunch of them. But when money touches the table, that's when you say, I take a stand for whoever just paid me that money.
Who did you take a stand for?
He says, I took a stand. You see? I ain't no rat. Don't you go being no rat neither.
I ain't rat.
Good.
That's
my legacy.
But it's just that does Zone of Truth work? Okay, actually, I want to try something, which is to modify the spell to compel him to tell me one thing that's true.
Okay. The Necromancer told you that there are spells that can do that. So, yeah. Now, you're not the one who cast the spell, so you're going to be spell hacking. Do you have any of the spell hacking talents?
No, but I do have the ability to spend to use one.
Awesome. If you take a look at the university's sheet, there are some talents there that are not... Oh, no, wait. Oh, they are in the wiki.
Spell hacker.
Are they in the wiki? Hold on, I gotta go find them.
I'm looking for them. I assume it would be I don't see spell hacker here.
Okay, right. It's not in the wiki yet. Spell hacking is a talent that essentially lets you modify other people's spells. It requires a talent because the speed at which you have to be able to interfere with by injecting your own magic into the spells is pretty intense. But it, yeah.
So if I spend a basic,
I do have it in the university's sheet here.
Yeah. I do see it there. It just emphasizes as to spells cast by yourself or others while they are in progress of casting or happening.
Right. Oh yeah, that's true. You can also hack your own spells. So if you have a memorized spell, and you go to cast it, but it's doing something slightly off, you can use spell hacking to tweak it. And it, yeah. Generally, that is cheaper in terms of tax than just improvising a new spell that does the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So I would like to basically spell hack this to change it just so he will be compelled to tell me the truth to who paid him.
Okay.
Is that what role is that?
So this is a This is a fairly complicated thing you're trying to do, basically.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to take what is essentially I think it's a third circle commune with dead, or is that second circle?
Is it? I imagine it would be on the, actually be on the other sheet, the one for the secret club.
Yeah, hold on, I'm looking it up. Third circle.
No, that's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the
Secret
necromancy...
club's just anime.
Yeah, Secret Club hasn't dealt with necromancy. They've been dealing with animation, which is a separate thing. Animation is about making a body rise and act, but it's not actually necessarily the person in the body. It's just magic making it animate. Whereas necromancy is about the ghosts and spirits and stuff. They intersect, shall we say, quite frequently. But yeah. So Speak with Dead is third level necromancy, so translation is basically, it's a third circle spell. So you're trying to break into a third circle spell and make a modification. And the modification is you're going to force the ghost to be truthful about one answer. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm basically going to ask that question again. Who paid him? And he'll just be truthful with me.
So I'm going to rule that that's, you're basically trying to make a first circle alteration to it. So this is only going to cost you 1 tax to your esoteric thing. But your roll needs to beat the third circle difficulty. So you're going to be rolling. Do you have advantage so that you can use your cunning and scholarship along with this roll? Because otherwise you're just rolling your potential.
I'm going to argue I do, thanks to dedicated study.
Okay.
I have, in my studying, I discovered this little spell hacking thing, and I've been reading up on it, even though I've not quite had the opportunity to go to the class and learn it yet.
All right, that sounds good to me. So roll your cunning plus scholarship plus your potential for this particular thing, and you need to beat a 3 to hack it.
All right. Can I add any pips to this?
Is your costume of a mage?
I do not have a costume.
Ooh.
I never got one for Nest.
Not even yesterday when you had a whole shopping day?
No, Nest bought a new spellbook.
Oh, that's right. Okay, cool. That's a good purchase, honestly.
Yeah. I would... Does anybody... So we have other mages here. Does anybody... Did anybody also take that Delterra's...
Yeah, and Elros has. Yeah, Elros has. And you can also hold your hand so that it can ounces like 2 people. I can channel it.
I think he's talking about Delterra's stable meta energy.
Yeah, because that gives me more magical aether, I guess, to work with, right?
Yes. You do not have to hold his hand for that one. That's just a spell that Delterra invented so that mages could help each other with spells.
But if you want to hold my hand, I'll accept it.
Francis isn't there with you, I don't think, unless you somehow have figured out how to bring Francis with you.
I think it's only the...
It's just the 6 who are on this adventure right now.
Yeah.
In that case, never mind.
Does Leica have it? Because Leica goes to...
Francis is actually not even in the school, technically. Francis is with other students of the school, but they're hiding somewhere in the city at their animation club.
Yeah. Does Leica have it?
Have what again?
Delterra's
No, definitely not. No,
because
poor Leica has not had as many opportunities for venturing.
But I thought we all got that. I thought that was we were all.
I don't think I. Well, let me look at my spell book here.
The spell
I
was
only have one
revealed
character.
during the big event where all of you had all of your characters out when you were trying to rescue Mangra's mother.
Yeah.
So whoever was in Delterra's room, trying
Which
Which
to
was
was
Trumpy.
most of us.
That would have been Trumpy, though.
Ah, okay. So, I guess I just have opportunity for one.
didn't
sounds
Leica bring the fruit?
Which would be better, holding the magic hands or...
Trumpy is the one that got the fruit.
Oh, wait. If Troppy's the one that got the fruit, then Leica should have been there, I thought. Oh, no.
Leica was with the bard.
Right. Leica was with the bard. Sorry.
But the bard came.
the bard did come. Yeah, no. So Leica was there. Absolutely. Leica brought the bard. Trompy brought the fruit, and then you were both there when Delterra taught you guys the spell, so that you could work together to help Elros to summon her armor for her to walk downstairs.
I just don't have it in my spell book. I don't know if there was a reason for that.
Well, okay.
I do think it was optional to write it to a spell book, but we had the opportunity to just learn a spell, and I just took it.
Yeah, it didn't cost anything.
You do have space in your spell book.
I mean, I could retroactively put it in there if it's something that we canonically agree everyone received.
Yeah, that's basically that was the point of that, was so that everybody would have, because we had a lot of mages in this group, and so I thought maybe it's a good idea if everybody has a way to like help each other with spells, so you could cast bigger spells together as a group than you'd be able to do individually. So yeah, I think it's a good idea for Leica to have done that.
Was it add another die for me, essentially?
Yes, that's correct.
So if you all are willing to cast that, I would appreciate it. I already do have 5 dice, but more dice gives... I need to get 3 of 5, and that's not the best op.
Casting it is just a simple roll of your esoterics. It only needs 1 success. If you have memorization, then it doesn't even need that. You just need to have memorized it.
So I just roll my 1 arcane potential.
Yep.
Unless you have a trait that gives you advantage.
Would the tangle give me advantage? The lineage? No?
No.
In that case?
It's traits that, like the things that you just write about your character. Like,
No. I don't think so, sadly.
okay.
That's fine. Just roll your die, and if it comes up a success, then there'll be an extra die for Viv to roll. Alright, worth a try.
Yeah, I don't know if it helps or anything, but holding their hand, whatever.
You have the magic hands, right? I'll imagine it helps. Oh. Tragic. Alright.
Hey, if this works, then the ghost will have no choice but to answer 1 question. So that'll be awesome. It doesn't work. It was a great try. You really put some effort in. Just keep training, keep practicing. So with a final pat from your imaginary ghost dad, the ghost dissipates back into the void, and yeah, and now you guys return home with some knowledge that maybe you wish you didn't have, and you'll need to decide what to do with that in our next adventure.
Do it, Lee.
Closing up, basically everybody made it home safe. No one was kidnapped or arrested. It was fantastic.
I'm sure Miss Babel is feeling better today.
Yes, and actually Coddle takes her out for a little evening on the town. She comes back wearing a new hat and a new scarf.
Yeah. Just of note, I actually did have Araxi go to school today, But Araxi is basically going to the fishing guild and showing off the bruises and explaining where they came from to rile up a lot of people who knew who know Araxi as the friendly little Anu that helps them out all the time.
You get lots of supportive, camaraderie from your fellow fisher peoples. It's one of the sort of weird things about these, the vague oppression of the Anu and the colonization effort is it's really mostly the farmers doing it. The sailors love the Anu because someone that can breathe underwater is an expert at saving drowning sailors. And the biggest concern for a sailor is, what if something happens to the ship and I'm just floating in the ocean? That is a nightmare scenario.
Araxi's once again laying the groundwork.
Yeah. Now, it is a little awkward, though, that these the Fishing Guild really does have a lot of fond memories and stories and songs about the salty swine. And so, like, they really took it personal, but that's because they don't know the whole truth. And now you kids do. It's not the truth you wanted to know, but it's the truth. And you can at least know now that you know what happened. What you tend to do with that, how Lorpin's Day in Court will go, will be in future weeks. There'll be one more day for you kids to do stuff, which can or does not necessarily need to involve the court case, and then the trial will happen. And so I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for tonight, and as is our new tradition, or actually it's been working out pretty well for the few times we've done it, we'll just keep going with doing the experience stuff at the start of the next session.
Indeed.